Hello and welcome to English Language. My name's Rich. I'm going to talk to you today a little bit about English Language A-Level and why it's a great subject to take at SGS College. So the first thing that you're probably thinking is, what is English Language? Well, I can tell you that English Language is nothing like GCSE. English Language is a really varied and interesting topic, and it's not even really just English at all. You'll find plenty of crossovers with other humanities-based subjects such as sociology, psychology, media studies, and maybe even a little bit of philosophy too. It's a bit of a different approach to English, so most students find it challenging, but once they really get their teeth into it, they find it rewarding as well. And what linguistics will do is help to develop a critical appreciation of language, not just written, but also everyday spoken language all around you. It's a great subject to take in terms of the way it matches really well with subjects like sociology, law, history, even other Englishes like English literature, maybe even film studies. And you'll find the skills that you learn in English will help benefit your studies in other areas too. So you might also be thinking, I'm not sure if English language and linguistics is the right topic for me. The first thing you need to know is it's nothing like GCSE English at all, really. It's a completely new discipline. It's called linguistics, and you'll find it's a much more systematic and almost slightly scientific approach to analysing language with terminology, with a bit of creativity thrown in there too. If you think, is it for me? You might want to ask yourself the following questions. Firstly, have you ever taken an interest in everyday language all around you? Second, do you have a fairly analytical brain? Do you enjoy analysing things such as texts and speech? If you enjoy a bit of creative writing, especially kind of journalistic type writing, and also, have you ever been a bit intrigued about English and wondered, how does it work? If the answer is yes to most of those questions, then English language is probably going to be for you. Now, with regards to the topics that we cover, it's quite hard to adequately sum up everything that we do in linguistics, but I'll have a go. For the first things that we look at is essentially how language works. So you're going to learn a lot about the bare bones of language, the structure, how we create meaning through the words that we use, and how we create sentences. But really, that's just the basics. From then on, we look at much more kind of exciting and challenging aspects, such as the social variables that affect the way that we use language. You might have ever come across the idea that men and women speak differently, for example. We explore that. Perhaps your age affects how you use language, maybe your accent and dialect, maybe your ethnicity. And this is the kind of thing that we explore. Unlike GCSE, we don't focus on just written texts. We also analyse everyday spoken language too. We look at how emerging technology and social media has affected language use, such as the way you text, your use of Snapchat, Instagram, Facebook, how the language of websites and blogs is different from everyday language. Going on into the second year, we look at how children learn to communicate, both spoken and also how they learn to read and write. Another interesting topic that we study is how language evolved and how it's changed and how new words enter our English language. And there's also a little bit of creative writing involved too. Another question that you might be thinking is, how am I going to be assessed? Well, English language assesses you through 2 exams at the end of the AS year, both worth 50% of the final grade. Paper 1 is language individual, which is 90 minutes and 3 questions, and paper 2, which is language discourses, which is also 90 minutes but has 2 questions. And over the next couple of slides, I'll explain what's going to be in these papers. Now, as I mentioned on the previous slide, the AS year has 2 broad areas. That's language individual and language discourses. Now, language in the individual is your more traditional text-based analysis. So this is where you'll learn about the structure of English and how we create meanings through the language we use, how perhaps our own personal contexts shape the way that we understand and receive language. What you'll need to do on that paper is you analyse texts, and then you need to compare how they use language both similarly and differently. Then we have paper 2. Now paper 2 takes a slightly different approach. Paper 2 is more about what we call social linguistics, which is the sociology of language. Now social linguistics involves looking at how things like gender affects language, how age, ethnicity affects language, and you'll write an essay discussing one of these topics. Now paper 2 also has a creative question where you'll be asked to write a broadsheet newspaper article based around a particular linguistic topic that was discussed in the first half of the paper. Now the second year is really kind of building on the basics that you've learned at AS level, and potentially this is the year that people find the most interesting. Though what we start with is independent language investigation, where you get to think about which areas of English you've enjoyed the most in the first year, or even an area of English which is agreed by me that you can look into, and you get to write your own 2,000 word investigation looking at that particular area of English. Now this forms half of your coursebook folder, and the other half will be a creative piece. Now this creative piece is 750 words. It's not very long, but it can be whatever you want. It can be the beginning of a story, it can be an article, it can be a blog, a piece of travel writing. So you get to basically write anything that interests you. Now with that creative piece you get to write a reflective commentary where you kind of reflect on your own work and the language choices that you made. So that's 20% of the A-level year. The other 80% assessed is going to be 2 papers again. Now, most of the stuff is kind of similar to what we did in the AS year. The new topics are going to be child language acquisition, like as I mentioned earlier, where we learn about how children learn to speak and how they learn to read and write. And a lot of students tend to find this the most interesting topic over the whole of the 2 years. And another new topic that we look at in the second year is going to be how language has changed. This can be right from 1600 to present day, how the language has changed, how new words enter our language, how kind of old, unused words leave it, and all the kind of social, contextual reasons for why language is changing. Now the second year can be slightly more challenging, as it's the second year A-level study, not AS level study. But I think potentially this second year is the most rewarding and helps shape a really critical appreciation of language, and students tend to find the second year even more rewarding than the first year. A question I always get asked at open days is, what can I do with English language? Well, the answer is lots and lots of things. English language is definitely a viable option for further university level study. Many universities offer linguistics and communication studies as either single or joint honours. But if you're thinking way off in the future of any career that would need any advanced writing skills, such as journalism, advertising, and recruitment, publishing, if you wanted to be a librarian, also, of course, if you wanted to become an English teacher or any other teacher, then something like English language would be perfect for any of those career paths. Okay, well, thanks for listening. I hope I've convinced you all that linguistics is a great subject and you want to take it at STS College. If you've got any other questions or want any other details about study here, then please contact richard.carter@stscol.ac.uk. Thanks very much. Bye-bye now.